Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining me here today. Appreciate you taking a few moments. If you will, like, share, comment on the post. And then if you choose, you can follow along in Genesis chapter 18. We will begin and end in verse 29. And Paul Harvey used to do a bit, some of you may remember, called The Rest of the Story. This is not the rest of the story. This, in fact, is probably not a good division of the text, but I just want to look at one verse today. Verse 29, Abraham says, speaking to God, again he spoke to him and said, suppose 40 are found there. He answered, for the sake of 40, I will not do it. This passage is just another reminder, and this whole story is, there's going to be several reminders that we will talk about. Remind us of the importance of being a prayer warrior, being involved in praying for others, concern about others. I want to call your attention to how we got here. We got here because Lot selfishly chose the green land, the good pasture land, and left his Uncle Abraham in the wilderness. Now Abraham is pleading for the rescue of the city that this same nephew has moved to. Abraham had every reason to go, oh well, he made his bed, let him lie in it. He chose his poison, you know all those sayings. He had every reason to have no concern, no compassion whatsoever for this man that he had most likely, we don't know all the details, but being his nephew, had probably taken in as a young child when perhaps his own parents had died, had raised this child, had brought Lot up, brought him with him, helped him get set up in business, gave him this opportunity. And Lot used it and took advantage of his uncle. And it would have been easy for Abraham to say, oh well, boy, it stinks to be Lot, doesn't it? But instead, he begins to plead. He begins to negotiate. He begins to beg God for this land. He begins to beg God to spare these people. On top of that, not only was Lot one who, again, Abraham had no reason to be concerned about. We could make the same case for everybody in Sodom and Gomorrah. We have no indication that Abraham knew anybody there. He had no allegiance, no connection to anyone there, and yet he's praying for the whole city. Notice he doesn't just pray, rescue my nephew. He's praying, he's concerned about the whole city. I'd ask you a question this morning. When's the last time we prayed? Not just for somebody like our nephew, but for the whole city. For even those we don't know, for maybe even those we don't like, we don't care about. Those folks are harder to pray for. It's easy to pray for your own children, your grandchildren, your spouse, but for someone who maybe hasn't treated you so well, or somebody you don't even know, that's a little more difficult. Abraham sets a good example for us here that we need to follow. Let's be a praying people, not just for our own needs, not just for the needs of those closest to us, but for those around us who need Jesus. Lady in the church I grew up in many years ago used to say, we typically pray, Lord bless me and my four and no more. Let's not be that kind of people. Have a great day. We'll see you here tomorrow morning.